romper da madrugada.
E vamos ver se nós acaba com o resto da empreitada.
E vamos ver se nós acaba com o resto da empreitada.
Vamos, minha gente, oi que uma noite
Não é nada. Vamos, minha gente, oi que uma noite.
Welcome to Charter4Health, a PHM podcast series on the right to health. Here are the voices and insights of health rights defenders at the forefront of the struggle for health for all from around the world. I am your host, Miguel Garcia, and this is Charter4Health, a new podcast series from PHM Global. Follow and share from wherever you are on iVoox or go to our website, phmovement.org. We are the People's Health Movement. Join us in the struggle for health for all. I want to welcome our next guest. He's a lawyer and a health rights activist based in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Matheus Falcāo is a co-director of the Brazilian Center for Health Studies, Cebes, and the former PHM Brazil Regional Coordinator. Welcome, Matheus. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Hello, Miguel. Nice to be here with you.
The movement in Latin America has grown a lot, and it has grown really strong. There are a lot of things that are going on in Latin America, especially on the struggle for transformation of health systems. How is Latin America moving towards the transformation of health systems?
Well, I would say that there are at least two factors that we need to consider to give this answer. The first of them is the emergence of far-right extreme governments in our region, and sometimes the return of progressive or center governments. In this process, we see how these far-right organizations are very well structured and have some social significance. So in that way, and I feel like PHM is trying to play this role in that way, one of our main tasks is focus on movement building, focus on the grassroots movements that we work with to develop this general idea in society that health is a right. This is not something that we are building from scratch. This is exactly what led, for instance, to the creation of the universal health access in my country, Brazil, in the 80s. This is what led to the acknowledgement of right to health in the Brazilian constitution right after the dictatorship that took 20 years of our history. So I would say that the transformation of our health systems, if it goes how we want this to go towards right to health, we have to focus, and that's what we're trying to do. This assembly is an example on movement building and getting back to our roots, to our communities, to build right to health in society as a social value. The second element that I would say that it's influencing a lot this process of transformation of our health systems, it's all the global process in which Latin America is, of course, involved as part of the planet, but as part especially of what we call the global south. And so we can say, for instance, the emergence of conflicts. Sometimes these conflicts emerge themselves as wars or slaughters, as we see in the Gaza Strip or the war in Ukraine, for instance, but also as conflicts in our territories with urban violence as well, paramilitary groups, as we see in Brazil or other countries in Latin America as well. And all these dimensions have to be taken under processes that are happening globally. So if we understand what's happening globally, we can act better in our health system. Other very important issue that we are discussing here is the matter of financialization. How financialization is leading to privatization and is transforming healthcare, for instance, but also food system and many other elements of our lives into assets, which the basic reason of existence is to generate profit to big corporations generally hosted by global north countries. So I would say that the second dimension of transformation of health systems in Latin America, and that's also what we're discussing a lot in this assembly, is to understand how what we're discussing at community level, regionally, is part of this global process that are affecting all of us.
We are the People's Health Movement.
PHM brings together health rights activists and organizations from around the world.
For over 2 decades, PHM health defenders have been at the forefront of the struggle for health for all.
We maintain an independent voice without fear or favor. But now we need you to stand with us.
We need your support to continue our critical and independent intervention on all health matters.
To contribute to our cause, go to our website, phmovement.org, and find out how.
Contribute
And say proudly
That you support
Health
For all.
health for all.
health for all.
Health for all.
Health for all.
Follow the discussions on health issues at the World Health Organization on the WHO Tracker website. Through the WHO Tracker, PHM closely follows the work of the World Health Organization and prepares commentaries on agenda items at the WHO governing body meetings. These include background and critical health perspective analysis with recommendations for policymakers and civil society. Visit the WHO Tracker on the People's Health Movement website at phmovement.org. Join us in the struggle for health for all.
I want to take you in another level of discussion, and that is, how is the dynamic and the discussion between the different regions and country circles, not just in the Latin American circle and part of the world, but also how are you in the movement finding ways to interact with people from other parts, from Cebes region, from MENA, from Africa, from India? How is that dialogue working between the different regions of PHM?
So engaging in inter-region dialogue among PHM, it's quite rich. PHM is a very powerful movement in the sense that we are present in a lot of countries, but more than formally present, we are actually seeing what is happening in the territories. So first of all, we have a lot to learn with each other. And this is a very interesting and very important process in our movement. This is why this assembly is so interesting, even though now we have technologies that allow us to communicate in real time, even though we are kilometers away. Being in person in a single place has a lot more elements to build this dialogue. The other important feature of this interdialogue is that sometimes, even when we do not speak the same language, which happens quite often, as you would imagine, we see that our struggles are very often the same. We're struggling against the same problems, sometimes against the same enemy. And this is why I was referring to this global process. So in a way, we are learning with our realities that are sometimes extremely different, but even this extremely different realities, socially, culturally, they hold common struggles, which is even the reason for why we have a global movement.
How do you feel about having the People's Health Assembly back in Latin America after the second one?
Well, I couldn't feel better. Of course, I'm very happy being myself a citizen of Latin America. Using a metaphor that we speak about a lot in PHM Brazil, I feel like we are like the snail. We are very slow, but always moving forward. So I feel like each time that we continue to build our struggle, to believe in that, and to act collectively, we are making small but continuous steps towards our main goal, that is health for all. So this is how I feel continuing this process.
What are your dreams and expectations from the struggle for health in Latin America?
Well, I hope we can get back to our roots, to our communities, and let us even take the example of Brazil. I can say build again this feeling that health is a right, and this right is just realized through democracy. This was the wording that we used to say. I was not there, I was not even born yet, but that's the word that built the health system in Brazil. Health is democracy, and democracy is health. And of course, we're talking about health for all. So this is my hope, this is my dream, and this is why I'm happy to be here. This is why I keep dedicating my free time and the time that I don't even have to build this beautiful movement that is the People's Health Movement.
We are the People's Health Movement, bringing together health rights activists from around the world. Join us in the struggle for health for all. This episode of Charter4Health was produced by Annelien de Coquelar, Ana Brachar, and David Berstock. Editing by Luisa Fernanda Viatella. Technical support by James Von Duren, Edwin Otzin, Gabriela Tumash, and Esmeralda Ramos. My name is Miguel Garcia. This is Charter4Health, a PHM podcast. You can find much more about PHM and its call to action by logging into our website, phmovement.org. This is a People's Health Movement production.
Hey everyone, I'm Chiara Bodini, co-editor of the Global Health Watch 6, flagship publication of the People's Health Movement. I am also a producer of the GHW podcast. Listen to the first season of our podcast in English, Spanish, French, and Arabic on iVox. You can also go to our website phmovement.org/GHW-podcast.
Oi, quem chegou foi o Brasil no romper da madrugada.
Oi, quem chegou foi o Brasil no romper da madrugada.
E vamos ver se nós acaba com o resto da empreitada.
E vamos ver se nós acaba com o resto da empreitada.
Vamos, vamos, minha gente, oi que uma noite
Não é nada. Vamos, vamos, minha